Welcome to the first in my Critical First Step for Starting a Business series, where I show you how to determine if your new business will succeed or fail before you risk your time and resources. If you're considering starting your own business, whether it's online or brick and mortar, there is one incredibly important step that you can and must take at the beginning of your journey. You need to validate your new business idea before you take the risk, before you risk your time and hard-earned money on that new business idea. And the only way to truly validate your idea is to validate it with the actual people who would be most likely to need and most likely to be willing to pay for your product or service. My name's Ken Vernon, and I am a lifelong small business entrepreneur. In this, my Critical First Step for Starting a Business series, I will show you step by step how to validate that new business idea. If you actually execute the steps discussed in this class, you will develop a level of knowledge of your target market and an understanding if that market wants, needs, and is willing to pay for what you are selling. With that information, you can decide whether to step away from this idea completely or make changes to the idea, or if you get great positive feedback, you can go forward with confidence in your new business idea. And you'll have solid market research to help with funding or with your investors. Doing this work also lays a foundation for customer-centric businesses, which are proven to be 60% more profitable. Now, first, I want to talk to you about your excitement about this new business idea you have, because we need to talk about that too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. So the number one reason people give for wanting to start a business is to be their own boss. And a lot of people express this desire to be their own boss, but most will actually never take that leap. But when someone with the desire to take control of their life by starting their own business finally decides to take that leap, there is usually a tipping point or situation that drives them to go for it. Many times the seed for this tipping point starts when they share their business idea with someone and the response they get back is, "Wow, this is a great idea." Well, the wannabe entrepreneur hears that and it immediately becomes part of the inner dialogue that supports their new business idea. They become optimistic that they could actually start their own business with this idea. This scenario is usually repeated with various friends, family, and co-workers, and every positive response drives their optimism higher and higher. Unfortunately, many entrepreneurs become overly optimistic, and they let that optimism cloud their judgment. They become convinced that they actually do have a great idea that just can't miss. Their optimism that their new business can't fail drives them to move forward without making the effort to do the market research and gather the data that is necessary to truly validate their new business idea. While optimism is generally a valuable trait for entrepreneurs, optimism without a certain level of pessimism can become a fatal flaw. A 2018 study conducted by research at the London School of Economics found that over-optimistic folks are more likely to start ill-conceived businesses that are doomed to failure from the start. These failures begin when the entrepreneur bases their initial business decision on an overly optimistic view of their new business idea. This over-optimism is one of the motivating factors that drive people to go all in on their idea without taking the critical step of conducting a sufficient level of research with the actual target market for their new business. The friends, family, and co-workers that tell you you have a great idea most likely do not fit the profile of actual customers, and their input will always be biased. To ensure the success of any new business idea, it must be validated by individuals who are actually in the target market for the business. If you become overly confident and decide to not conduct a thorough market research initiative, you are gambling that your new business will succeed, and the odds are not in your favor. You've just watched the first video in my Critical First Step for Starting a Business series, where I show you how to determine if your new business will succeed or fail before you take the risk. If you have an idea for a new business, you can probably relate to the over-optimistic scenario that I presented. I hope you now understand how dangerous over-optimism can be when you're on the verge of committing a significant amount of time and resources to that new business idea. Optimism is good, but a good entrepreneur will temper their optimism and take the time to dig deeper and actually validate their new business idea before they take that leap. A failed business can damage everything you've worked for to this point in your life, both financially and personally. I want to help you avoid that failure. If you have any questions, comments, or issues you need help with, drop me an email and I'll get back to you. My email is ken@lifelessonsforbusiness.com. In the next video, I will reveal the primary factor that can determine success or failure of your new startup.